When I first saw the book Think and Grow Rich, it reminded me when I told my mom at 16, I'm gonna get rich. The mentality that really makes the difference is action. It's not intelligence, it's not connections, it is action. I've never thought I was limited to this, the cranium or 5'8", or a body. He was really confronting the spiritual being, not the physical body. Thought is not a physical thing, it's out here, right? I've just been lucky enough since the age of 25 to be interested in my personal development and getting rid of limited thinking so I could have and create and move toward abundance and prosperity and freedom, real freedom. You're free if you create freedom for yourself. And that first starts with the ability to think freely.
So people always ask me, is there a way to change a negative thought to a positive thought? And the answer is no. You're out of luck. You can't do that. The only way you can change a negative thought is with a positive affirmation, when you say your goals out loud. So the moment I have a negative thought, I say my goals out loud, and then the negative thought goes away.
Mary Kim Titla, who is the National Executive Director of United National Indian Tribal Youth, she and I have worked together with Native youth now for 20 years. And a few years ago, she said, would you come and speak to my son Bear's 8th grade football team? Because they're getting killed, they're getting demoralized. They lost 48-0 yesterday, they lost 38-0 last week, 28-10 the week before, it keeps getting worse. I said, sure, and I drove down, it's about an hour and a half, it's literally the land of Geronimo. That's where he's from. And I simply said to them, you know, you're in 8th grade, but I'm gonna tell you something that will help you the rest of your lives that is just as important and just as true for you as it is for NFL players, which is the only thing you have to do right now is to use all of your focus and bring all of your passion. It may sound simple. That's all you have to do for the next 2 hours, because there's so many players that have more speed, more talent, more physical ability that never make it in the NFL because they never learned that. For the next 2 hours, I challenge you to do that. In the first 11 plays, and I have witnesses to this, they scored 3 touchdowns. They won the rest of their games. Mary Kim told me they didn't lose another game. And then 3 months later, she calls me up and she says, 16 of those 22 young people are on the basketball team, including my son Bear, the quarterback, and they just finished the regular season undefeated. Now, that wasn't my power. It was simply helping them see the power they had.
Well, my story starts as a young man. At age 17, my biggest ambition was to be an All-American football player and then go into the NFL and hopefully play for the beloved Dallas Cowboys. And the coaches and the scouts and the people that monitor those sorts of things kind of assured me I had the size and speed to do that. And I thought my future was set. Then one day, during a routine physical to go play another season of football, I was diagnosed with the condition that would cause me to lose my sight. 10 years later, I was totally blind, and I woke up that morning, I instantly knew I'd lost the remainder of my sight, and I knew I would live the rest of my life as a blind person, and the thoughts and the doubts and the fears that came over me would be impossible to describe. I was 29 years old. I had never met a blind person. I didn't have a clue what I was going to do with the rest of my life. So the only plan I could come up with involved moving into this little 9 by 12 foot room in the back of my house. And in my little room, I had my radio and my telephone and my tape recorder. And I really fully intended to never leave that room again. The thought of traveling millions of miles and talking to millions of people, or writing 30 books and having 6 of them made into movies, or doing speeches, or running a television network with over 1,000 stations, or doing this movie project would have seemed as foreign to me as going to the moon. So I sat in my little 9 by 12 foot self-imposed prison, and I never thought I would leave that room again. And I sat there broke and despondent and depressed and suicidal. I thought of that. I remember they brought me a white cane, and they said, Jim, this will never be away from your side. You'll never have a job. People won't like you. Women won't want to hang around with you. Men won't put up with you. You're never going to make money. You'll need to get on relief or welfare. And this cane will never be more than a few feet away from you until you die. And I sat that cane on one side of my chair. And on the other side of my chair were tapes that people had given me. of Think and Grow Rich and other great books. And I realized there's not much I can do sitting in this little room, broke and scared. I can't even get out of this little room, but I can think. And the whole world changed because I changed my life when I changed my mind, sitting in that little room. Because on one side was the white cane, and on the other side was a voice telling me pure, powerful, positive possibility. And I realized somebody's lying to me. And I figured I'd rather die believing in possibility than live believing that we're all here to be poor.